Good morning, Math 8. You're going to be writing numbers with negative or zero exponents. And you're going to do it in different ways today in today's lesson. Lesson is 1-7. It's on page 485. Page 485 is where it starts. You can actually turn it and open up to page 486. On page 486, we are talking about exponents of 0. And the way this works is anything to the 0th exponent is always 1. So -7 to the 0 is 1. 43 to the 0 is 1. 1 to the 0 is 1. 0 times 5, which is 0, to the 0th is 1. And it comes from what we now know as the 0 property, the 0 exponent property. So, in your math notebook, I would ask that you write down the 0 exponent property. So this is 1-7. What it shows is a to the 0th equals 1. That's always assuming that a is not equal to 0. The other one we're going to talk about is the negative exponent property. Actually, to go on and explain why this works, let's look at 3 to the 3rd divided by 3 to the 3rd. Remember from what we learned yesterday, we solve for this by keeping the same base, which is 3, and you subtract the exponents, 3 minus 3, which equals 0, so it's 3 to the 0th. Now, how does that work? Well, if I write it out, 3 to the 3rd is 3 times 3 times 3, which is also 3 times 3 times 3. This is 1, this is 1, this is 1. Or if you go ahead and multiply it, 9 times 3 is 27. So it equals 27 over 27, which we know is 1. But as I started saying, there is also then the negative exponent property. The negative exponent property. The negative exponent property states that when a is to the negative, it is really just 1 over a to that same exponent without the negative. It's just a positive n. And this is once again assuming a is not equal to 0. Now, how does that work? Well, remembering back to the subtraction part of it, if we have 4 to the 3rd divided by 4 to the 5th, we can go ahead and solve this by subtracting the 2. And that's where we would get our negative 4 to the negative 2. Because you subtract the exponents, 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and draw that out. 4 times 4 times 4. 3 times. And then 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. In the 5th. So, these would end up canceling out to make 1. And it would just leave the 2 4s on the bottom. So really we have 1 on top, and then we can go ahead and multiply 4 times 4, which is 16. So we have 1 over 16, which, if we look back, as we said, it should just be 1 over 4 to the, now make that negative a positive second, which is also 16. So 1/16 is the answer. But what happens if it's written the opposite way? What happens if it's already written with a negative, but it's already in the fraction form? So it's 7 to the negative 3rd. Well, as we stated before, what would have to happen? We make it 1, and then we make it, as we did up here, 1 over 7 to the 3rd. Now remember, this is a fraction bar, but it's also a division bar, so let's divide. 1 divided by 1 over 7 to the 3rd. Well, when you divide by a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So It's the reciprocal of 1 over 7 to the third. 7 to the third over 1. And what is 7 to the third? Over 1. 7 to the third over 1 is just 7/3. So ultimately, when you start with this, you can basically take the reciprocal of it and get rid of the negative. So if it's written as 1 over 5 to the negative second, you can read it as just 5 to the second. Let's take a look at a few in our lesson. You simplify this number, 1,999,999 to the 0th. It's always going to come out to 1. Now, they leave you that whole space, but ultimately, you just need to know anything to the 0 is 1. Let's write 7 to the negative 6th using a positive exponent. That's where, if you remember, you can take that negative exponent property, change it around. To the 7 to the 6th. 1 over 7 to the 6th. And if we do the same here, that's the reciprocal. So 10 to the third. That's with a negative exponent. And then how it eventually becomes 5 to the second. Your assignment, Math 8, is to do 6, and then 6 is on page 48, and then on page 49, I would like you to do 7 and 8. 11, 12, 13, 14. And then 15, A and B. So you can do all of except 9 and 10. Okay? So it's 6 on page 48, and then 7, 8, and then 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, A and B on page 49. That is your assignment for Wednesday. Take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and hope to see you guys soon.